a lot of
It
words.
doesn't
A lot of words to justify some casual racism. Is what I
Yeah.
hear.
Well, that's sure.
Here we are, Abe Cast Iron Brain, a podcast that has the inclination, as does seemingly everyone else, to describe our reaction. Wait, to the most recent outrage. No, that was from 2 weeks ago. Never mind. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
Struggling with this blanket, but I'm fine.
Lori is struggling with a blanket, but she's fine. You can tell by the enthusiasm with which she has voiced her finitude, just how fine she is. Tonight is Tuesday,
There we go.
January 27th, 2026. Here on a Tuesday because on Monday night I was too pooped after 2 days of shoveling. I didn't want to record a podcast. And then I shoveled for 4.5 more hours today. But
You had
here I am
more
to soldier
snow?
on.
Wow. That's wild. Now, in years past, Bob, you would help out your neighbor? Like, did you do any...
Yeah, he works
Help?
so hard when it's for free and not me.
So on day one, I did. So on Sunday, we wake up, and it looks like this thing was a bust. Just like kind of looking outside. It's like, we were maybe going to get 18 inches. Like as recently as the day before, it's like 16.17 inches or something in the forecast. That was the internet stuff, though. Like the local guys were like, and then the other models, like 8 to 12 inches are what you can expect. But we look out the window on Sunday morning after it sort of started on Saturday evening. It doesn't look like much accumulation has happened. And then it starts to sleet. And it's just hours and hours of sleet.
So it was mostly Sunday? You guys didn't get much overnight?
Right.
Wow.
And we got more than we thought we did, because I think what happened is we got a good bit of snow, but it was kind of windy, and so it was very dry snow, and
It was super cold, too.
It got blown around because it was windy and it was dry snow, so it didn't it didn't sit up on top of the fence posts where on the porch or whatever, where like normally you can say, oh, look at this giant accumulation of snow here. It sort of got blown around, and then the sleet starts coming down, and it compacts everything.
Okay.
So like I don't know how you measure that exactly, but based on my experience the last 3 days of shoveling, I think we probably did get like a foot of snow, or at least like a foot of accumulated cold material, and it was deeply unpleasant to deal with. Very heavy, and then today it had been, despite the fact that it's quite cold and was like 0 overnight or something, the sun does do its work.
Sun does a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so it melts it, but because it's so fucking cold, it sort of just melts it into smaller, harder layers, which makes it more difficult to deal with. But yes, to answer your question, I was a hero, as I have been a hero in the past. We are surrounded by very old people. The old lady next door is somewhere in her mid-90s. There's mid-70s across the street, and an old man who I've seen in the last decade maybe like 25 times. I don't think I'm exaggerating that. Who I believe is also in his 70s or 80s, who doesn't come out much. And so they're all like, to say nothing of the officious bullshit email or text that goes out like, well, hey, it's been 24 hours since the precipitation ceased. That means you have 24 hours to get your sidewalks clear, or you'll be in violation of local code. Fuck you. And then you get a slip and fall, and it's all your fault.
Really? You get
sort of thing.
24 hours to sort it out?
Yeah.
Is there
Like
a coalition of the willing in the neighborhood? Like, let's get like
Yeah,
7
it's
to
Bob.
10 people. Like, it can't just
It's
be
Bob.
you.
And you would think, given how hard Bob works at whatever it is that people see him working on, like, wow, what does this guy do for a living? He must work hard.
I get it. It's funny. I see what you're doing here.
He works so hard.
Lori, in a quite racist moment this morning, came up to me and said, you work like a Mexican, is how hard you're working.
Compliment.
Because she had just the day before
Well,
seen
it was a lot. Yeah.
3 men who she presumed to
I
be
mean,
Mexican.
they were Hispanic. I don't know where they were from.
Doing tremendous work on a sidewalk.
But before that, years before that, probably maybe a year before that, I was having a conversation with a client of mine whose husband, and therefore I guess she also, they own a farm, apples, and it's a produce farm. And she said something like, because it was when Trump was in office the second time, and all of the
first time, you mean?
migrants, it was the first. It was now a year ago.
Okay, his second year
Because
during
it
his
was
first
like
term. Okay.
there were people who were not going to hospitals because they were worried that they were going to be deported. And I'd asked her about any of the workers and like having problems, and she said no, like so far so good. And we were just talking, and I don't know how exactly it came up, but she said something about you can't get white people to do this work. And I said, well, if you pay them, like you can't get them to do it at that rate. And she said, no, they just don't do the work. Like it doesn't matter how much you pay them. They're not going to do the work to the degree that you need it done.
Right.
Like you have to get help from outside America for that kind of work.
Right. American people are not desperate enough to do that kind of work for.
It's a lot of
It
words.
doesn't
A lot of words to justify some casual racism. Is what I
Yeah.
hear.
Well, that's sure. But it is. Then yesterday, when I was walking along, I walked to work. I was mostly walking in the street, and I would hop out of the way when a car would come. It was early, so the sidewalks were mostly not clear yet. But I got to this one stretch where it was like perfectly clear, like edge of the sidewalk to edge, not just a little path in it, just the whole sidewalk. And I walked along for a little while, and then I got to where that path ended, and there were these 3 dudes hacking at the ice and just not happily,
Well,
but
yeah.
they seemed,
Happily.
Look at them. They love it.
they were chit-chatting.
Just love
I don't
it.
know. It wasn't one guy.
This is their natural state.
They were not. They were chit-chatting among
Lori's
themselves.
posting on Real Race Science Reddit subreddits
Yeah.
or something.
in their element.
Race realist over here.
So they were just chopping away at the ice and pushing it away. And I was like, oh, okay. It's because it wasn't some fucking guy. It was like people that are better at this.
Anyway, yeah. So I did my best impression of 3 Mexican dudes in front of the local food court.
Who are getting
And,
paid,
Say what?
Who are getting paid, right? I mean,
I assume they were getting
Yeah,
paid.
they're not doing it for free.
It was like a building that has a owner, probably,
Yeah, it was like the first day wasn't pleasant. It was all quite heavy, and I was quite sore the next day. But I had done basically hours and the lady next door. But by the time it was starting to get dark, I was across the street. I just cleared out like the the 10 feet of sidewalk directly in front of their driveway, and my body was just fucking toast.
Well, and it was getting to be dark, and
Yeah.
it was gonna freezing rain at that point.
Yeah, freezing rain was starting to come down, so it was just time to be done. Like, it's one thing to be doing it while the sleet is still coming down. It's something else entirely to be out there while it's freezing rain, which is even more unpleasant. And so I go out the next day on Monday, and now there's a layer of ice from the freezing rain all over everything. And so I've got this little spring. It's like a spring-loaded flat shovel. It's only, I don't know, the size of the palm of your hand or so, as with the spade end of the shovel is. But it's got a spring there, and then there's also a spring action in the handle. So it's not quite as punishing to the body, where it's just it's almost like it's got shock absorbers in the fucking thing. So you use that to kind of dig your way down into the muck and like break up all the snow and ice, and then shovel out the rest after that. And so yesterday I accomplished their driveway and sort of redoing, because another 2 or 3 inches of precipitation had fucking fallen. So I had to redo us and the lady next door, and then I did them. And then today I go back out there and do the guy next to them who like hadn't touched a thing yet, like because he's super old and snowed in. But I dug his car out, and because the fucking plow comes by. We've discussed this before. The plow comes by 3 feet of like molten ice there, gets piled up. Very unpleasant. So I got to dig out the driveway, whatever. It's fine. It's all good. And, I'm sure it'll all come back to me.
Yeah.
Karmically. And also, like, as corny as it is one way of dealing with the awful fucking world. Like, what, because we'll discuss, obviously, the Alex Pretti latest ICE or Border Patrol shooting here momentarily. What can we do in response to such a thing? And the answer is very minimal. I can, as we did last night, force our children to have an unpleasant conversation about the world, because, of course, like, this is sort of percolating, and they hear me listening to things, or they see the Sunday shows that are on that we're watching, and they get a sort of very basic idea of what might be going on, but they're not reading stories about it or really paying attention. And it feels like the sort of thing that, like, hey, when the government starts doing really particularly gnarly shit, it's important to alert the kids to some extent as to what's going on. Right. For basic reasons of civic engagement. You live in a democracy or a representative republic. To some extent, it's on you when the government starts doing awful shit. They're supposed to be representing you up there, so you should at least stay engaged, is sort of the point of the lecture, I suppose.
This is, didn't Mr. Rogers say something along those lines of, like, look for the helpers when things go sideways? Somebody's always helping. That's
look for the look for the helpers as the DHS
Don't do that
guy shoots him in the head while he lies on the ground. But yeah, so what you're getting at is like, not that even occurred to me that I want to appear to be a person who you look to when the world is falling apart. But like, in my mind, what can I do? It's like, I can be a halfway decent neighbor to these old folks, and like, when they come out to try to shovel and are like obviously laboring over each and every
sit down, old man.
I'm like, please just go inside. Like, this is, you're just going to hurt yourself. The thing about the heart attacks.
That's right. Yeah. That's
going up. It's like, it's fine. I'll take care of it. And that's one way of how I sort of cope with the awful world, I suppose, is to do this small act of service.
Someone gave you cash.
And yeah, somebody slipped me some. No matter how much you try to say, please don't give me anything, they feel bad and they want to give you something. So I get a little bit of money, but
he thinks I don't notice anything, but I do notice cash in places where it wasn't. Usually it only comes from me.
Is this the off-season YouTube TV fund?
That's right. It almost would cover 1 month of YouTube TV. The other thing which occurred to me when I was not wanting to podcast last night, or really at all to have the same goddamn conversation that we had 2 weeks ago, is what I was most in need of on Monday was for the people that I look to have sane things to say about the insanity of the world, to update their fucking podcast feed, right? Like to have something to say about what's going on in the world, so that it literally makes you feel less crazy. When people that you trust and know are there reacting to the world, and it can be a comfort. And not that we have a large audience or anything, but to some extent we serve a similar purpose for some folks out there who see the world seemingly falling apart. And like I need Mike Pesca to get his fucking podcast out, even though he's only going to talk about it for 5 minutes at the top of the show. Like it is reassuring in a way. Like I need to listen to the Reason Roundtable and hear these libertarians lose their fucking minds about what's going on, because it is reassuring that people are losing their minds. Anyway, that's why we're here, and that's how I'm able to slog through this conversation yet again. Abe, you have a good weekend?
Oh, I did. You guys live further north, even though you're technically still in the south. But down here in Atlanta, the weather people, they get all crazy. Oh my God, we may get half an inch of ice, which does great damage to the city of Atlanta usually. And people were just kind of freaking out and buying a bunch of things at the store. Like my Kroger was full of people, and the shelves were mostly empty. But nothing came of it. I woke up on Sunday morning. There was nothing. I just kind of walked around. There was nothing. And we got nothing. We got a little rain, and that was about it. Our work office was closed anyway because of I guess in the metro Atlanta area, there were some parts that were a little icy. So they're like, everybody just stay home. But we got none of that. So I just stayed home, watched football, went to the movies on Friday. Nice weekend.
Nice.
Quiet.
I went to the grocery store, of course, with the...
You went a couple times.
Yeah, but with the fucking apocalyptic snow bearing down on us, what we decided to do on Friday was get into a car.
Okay, when was the snow supposed to maybe start?
6 p.m. on Saturday.
6 p.m. on Saturday. So should they have closed school Friday?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Anyway, it was funny to me. Here was the thing. We drove 2 hours or so to Lori's father's place up in the mountains to do a little bit of skiing on Saturday before getting back into the car on Saturday afternoon after the time on the slopes and driving back here just ahead of the incoming storm. And it was fine. Like
cutting it close, no? Like is that
cutting it close? But and that's
not
what
really.
It made me anxious and uncomfortable. But I sat there at her dad's place while they were down on the slopes, just watching the weather radar and all right, so it looks like 7 o'clock or so now. Like it kept pushing out just a little bit. It's like as long as we're on the road by 3 or 4 o'clock, we're going to be just fine. And that ultimately that was the case. Although they were on the slopes and it was single digit temperatures.
It was cold, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there was no humidity.
And
so when there's no humidity and no wind, as long as your skin is covered.
Yeah, and if it's good enough for Scott Van Pelt, it's good enough for my wife and children.
SVP
Scott
was there?
Van Pelt was there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he and I both took our families skiing this weekend.
Wow.
Same. He and I are same.
He's a tall, lanky fellow. Like you can probably spot him. Even
And it wasn't.
You know
It wasn't
what- you
even
know
one of
when
those
you can't?
unusual fake sightings of SVP. It's actually
No, it was him.
he is known that he has a place on this mountain and is a member of the club and all.
When
of that.
you can't recognize him is when he puts a helmet and ski goggles on. He's just another tall guy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know the Virginia
I
man. Like
I saw him walking into the lodge, and then a couple hours later when we took a break, I sat down and he was there with his family, and I was like, he's over there. I had to be very cool and take pictures from across the room.
He's 6'6", so he's not.
He's tall.
He's noticeably tall.
Quite tall. Anyway, we get back from our excursion on the mountain, and I decided to take one last trip to the grocery store, mostly just out of curiosity. Just I didn't need anything. We would have been fine. I had stocked up earlier in the week. Even worst case scenario, we were going to be fine. But I just kind of want to see like
a
how
human
insane.
watch, like judge the people elbowing each other for the last.
Yeah, but also like how empty. Like had we somehow emptied a Wegmans of all of its provisions.
Yeah.
Also, here is the thing with Charlottesville and places like Charlottesville. We live very close to the grocery store. So we don't really need to freak out too much because if we have to, we can get food. Like we live in the city.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that live about an hour away that we're the closest grocery store.
Wow.
And also those people that live farther away.
The closest good grocery store. Like it's not like there are 0 grocery stores out in the county or,
Sure. Okay, maybe 30 minutes out of town. If you drive south on 20.
Well, whatever. Yes, to some extent.
We are where the stuff is for a lot of people. So it is more reasonable that they're like, we might be stranded for a week. Yeah. We need a week of food.
Right.
It's less reasonable for us to do that.
In any event, I wanted to see what Wegmans would look like, and I got there on Saturday evening at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and surprisingly, they had a ton of shit. The only thing that was really like they ran out of like all the hot dogs and the deli cheeses, like the prepared.
Concern is losing power.
Yeah, so like all the like easy to eat stuff, like the prepackaged easy to eat, like hummus and salsa and cheese and hot dogs and other deli meats.
Stuff you can grill.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was all gone, but like they had just gotten a ton of fire. So there was a ton of firewood for sale. There was a whole display of snow shovels for sale, which was surprising. So,
I mean,
good job, Wegmans.
The shovels last a while. You don't have to buy them every year. I wonder how many people, it's January. A lot of people start the year with hopes of hitting some sort of target goal as far as their diet goes. Like
but the diet and the drinking? No, that was the other thing on the people on the Charlottesville subreddit. We're talking about like which of the local liquor stores is not entirely picked over yet. So I'm sure that a lot of people were like breaking their New Year's resolutions.
They probably think, this doesn't count because it's a weather event. I'm gonna make up for it in February.
Yeah, one of my like low down the list resolutions this year is to not have the like one-off cocktail or beer throughout the week, like just, you had a rough day, asshole.
Yeah.
Like that sort of a cocktail. But last night I was close. I was like, all that shoveling, I earned it. I deserve it. All right. I suppose we should move along here into the news of the week. If you listened to us talk about the Renee Good shooting a couple of weeks ago, you would have heard...
Just run it back.
You would have heard us discussing, I think I made the point that the administration officials are rushing to frame the narrative. And I said something to the effect of, the worse it looks for them, the quicker they will be to tell big, outrageous lies. And they need to be first to the microphone. That they race to explain themselves in a way that is most favorable to themselves as quickly as possible. And that was a case where, with Renee Good, I expressed some reserved criticism for the way that she was behaving in the moment. That I found her particular form of protest to be less than optimal. And I think reasonably so. Like you put yourself behind the wheel of a big, heavy vehicle, even though, again, to be totally clear, I think that was a bad kill, as they say in the business. That there was no reason for her to be shot in that moment. She, however, bears some responsibility for having chosen to, like, and seemingly perhaps just confused about the level of danger that she could be perceived to be presenting to people around her, right? Like maybe it just didn't occur to her, which is fine. And I don't think she should have been shot. Certainly it's awful that she was killed, but it's like the administration saw what happened there and had the reaction to it that they had, and heard a challenge from people who were so horrified by the immediate rush to label her as a domestic terrorist who was attempting to murder ICE officers out there in the street, and said, just wait till you see what we do the next time. Because this was, Alex Pretti was so much less of a threat to anyone. And the lies that were told about him in the immediate aftermath of his killing were so much worse than what they said about Renee Good. If it is, yeah, sure, it's wrong to call someone a domestic terrorist, and I shouldn't be ranking how much worse a lie is versus
Is this not a ranking episode? I thought we were ranking.
Yeah. But it was so much more morally offensive to me the moment you see the video of the thing as it actually unfolded, rather than listening to what Stephen Miller or the little fucking creep Bovino of Border Patrol or Kristi Noem had to say about it. Like, it is just completely not in keeping with the reality of that situation. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can just watch the video. And like, it's shocking to me. Like, the thing that is that still and hopefully will always be shocking is to listen to government officials tell verifiably bald-faced lies about something that everyone within the sound of their voice is going to know is not the case, right? Like, they have to know that no matter what they say, people are going to find out the truth.
Right.
And so, like, it is the shamelessness that is like particularly disturbing. It is the total disregard for the truth value of the thing that you're saying.
Right.
And I had the thought, and I don't know, like, this is not the way to talk about this necessarily. I had the thought that to some extent they are in service of the MAGA faithful when they talk this way. And by that I mean to not do this, to not continue to hold the line here on we are just enforcing the law and you have nothing to be ashamed of for continuing to support us, to support us, that like somehow it would be a betrayal of their constituency if they gave an inch here. And like, that seems to me, as much as it is obviously about, for Kristi Noem, always pleasing the boss, as much as it is for Stephen Miller, like legitimate weirdo Nazi shit, right? Like as much as it is about him just hating immigrants and that sort of being his whole thing, and as much as it is for Bovino that the cops can never be wrong, that we are doing, as ordered by the President of the United States, legitimate law enforcement action, and therefore any questioning or observation or suspicion of law enforcement behavior is itself completely unacceptable. Like just a full-on back the blue no matter what mindset, right? Like, he's got his thin blue line underpants that he wears every day. I don't doubt it for a second. Like, that's who that guy is. At the same time, I think that there's something that unites those three perspectives, which is
Unites the right, even? It might unite the right?
If we are seen to be giving an inch here, it will break the spell of the remaining 35 to 40% of people who have backed us through everything, right? Like that somehow that might represent some sort of a betrayal.
Right.
I don't know if that matters, but I think it might be motivating some of this. And it's what's extra disturbing about the next couple of years and about the way that this thing is going to unravel. Because at some point, either reality is going to insist that the world is not as these people are saying that it is, and people will have to come to terms with that. And like, how do you come to terms with that, but violently, right? Like, and like, this is what is this what the Civil War looks like at its beginning? Is this does that spell eventually break? And does it eventually just fall apart under the weight of its fucking bullshit before it becomes like, well, no, we cannot betray this thing that we've poured so much of ourselves into over the course of the last 10 years. Right? Like, can people just accept that they were wrong and let it all go away quietly? Or does it come to a head in some sort of big spectacular disaster?
Hopefully,
I don't know.
Hopefully not.
Is this not the big spectacular disaster?
No, it can always get worse. I mean, it's a bottomless pit. And what's concerning about all of this is, like you mentioned, Bob, the response. Like, no matter how much evidence there is to the contrary, not elected officials, but appointed officials will go on TV and spread provable lies. Like, it's almost kind of like going back to the Iraq War days, Baghdad Bob. Like, he's like, oh, the Marines are nowhere to be found, even though they're like about to enter Baghdad. Just like provable lies. And the audience is who? Like, is it just the core 30%, 40% who can use the messaging that's being provided to them to spread? Because I mean, it's gotten so incoherent that like now guns are no good. Like, guns are the enemy. Like, usually that was a pro-gun crowd, and now just to win this one argument, you're against guns. Like, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. I don't know what the end game is. I remember back in, it's been 10 years. Remember, I think it was Dallas. There was that ambush of those cops. There was some crazy guy who, I think there was right after some sort of like police killing, like some
parade.
White on black kind of thing, or black on white. There was some sort of
guy walks
thing.
up to a cop car in New York City and shoots him right through the window or something.
No, this was in Dallas, because I remember it was like the video of this. He was like a former military guy. This guy, he came around, snuck up on the Dallas Metro Police, and he killed like 5 of them.
Okay.
I just remember it being a thing. But I wonder if this confrontations that the ICE is kind of pursuing. They're waiting for some sort of reaction, somebody to do something to them to justify the whole the whole thing, right? Because so far, and I think it was Klobuchar, I watched her interview on one of the morning shows where she said, like, I mean, it's early days in 2026, but apparently Minneapolis has 3 homicides and 2 of them are by federal agents. Like,
yeah.
two out of the 3 deaths in Minneapolis are at the hands of the government. And so where this goes, I don't know. Maybe the idea is that keep picking on people, and then somebody will overreact, and then that will kind of give carte blanche on just like you can do whatever you want going forward, because you can't keep this up where a lack of restraint, lack of training, lack of whatever. I don't know why.
Well, apparently the guy, the Bovino, and I mean, I know you have to take everything that he says with a grain of salt, but or a boulder of it. Yeah. But he said that the guy who did the first shot was an 8-year veteran of Border Patrol. So, like, it's hard to say that this is anything but their training if this guy has been part of the force for 8 years.
Yeah, that's even more damning, because this particular shooting is, I mean, like you said, you don't want to compare things, but this was even worse because, like, the person wasn't, like, doing anything other than just trying to, like, protect this person. Like, he's recording, which you're allowed to do. He gets pushed. It seems like one of those respect my authority kind of situations. Like, it seems like people, at least these particular people who have shot Renee Good and now Alex, there seems to be like, how dare you? I don't want to get ahead of it, but it just seems to be like you're not respecting my authority. Like, how dare you don't listen to the words when I tell you to get out of the car, or how dare you interfere in this thing? And, you have a gun? This gives me a pretext to kill, even though the gun was removed from him, right? And you have 5 people to subdue him. He wasn't even fighting back. So, like, there is no justification to shoot, but, like, I wonder if the gun was like, this gives me license to kill. Like, I can spin this as a fear for my life thing, even though when you look at the footage, there is no threat to his life.
It can't be that conscious.
Right, but I just wonder because, like, why else would you just out of nowhere just start shooting? Like, unless you're just that cavalier about life. Like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's not like the stereotypical, like, I fear for my life situations where it's like one-on-one, somebody's coming at you. this person's on the ground. There's like no possible justification for what happened. Like there's none. And yet people go on TV and say otherwise. And to me, it's like, if you're going to defend this, then there is no line this is too far, we're sorry. And maybe the lessons from the first Trump administration is the wrong one, which is like never give an inch. Like we got like, don't concede anything, don't let go of cabinet level people who are unqualified or there's some sort of controversy that surrounds them. Like just rally around your people and just stay the course. That seems to be the lesson that they've learned from the first administration, which is not good going forward.
It's also worth keeping in mind that everything that's going on here is sort of like, I think you said something about how they wanted this, right? That somehow they were sort of courting this sort of chaos. They're courting this sort of interaction with the public, and that's like, it's worth keeping in mind that where Trump has deployed the National Guard and where he has attempted to send out ICE and Border Patrol in large numbers has been in so-called sanctuary cities, has been in Democratic strongholds, whether that's D.C. or Los Angeles or Portland or now Minneapolis. The thing to keep in mind is that the whole reason that there are 3,000 federal immigration cops in Minneapolis, which means, and I heard different figures, but that means they outnumber local beat cops either 3-1 or 6-1, something like that. Maybe it's 6-1 at any given moment, but it's 3-1 in terms of overall number of cops actually employed by the city or something like that.
Didn't the head of the police say they have about 600? They're like overstretched, so like that would be 5-1 right there.
Right.
So yeah,
so
like,
they vastly outnumber the local police, and they were sent there because of a fucking dolt YouTube influencer who was going around knocking on doors and asking if he could see small children in daycares.
Right.
Like the reason that he's here is because of the Somali welfare fraud or social services fraud that was adjudicated. Right. That Tim Walz said he's not going to run for governor again because of his inability to properly administer that problem, right? To get a hold of it before it got completely out of control. And it's one of the biggest welfare frauds in the history of the country. It is a legitimate, awful political scandal. But because it was orchestrated and to the benefit of a disfavored community who Donald Trump has decided in the wake of this scandal to call garbage.
And also, it should be noted, all of this is retribution. Like, you have the former VP candidate. You also have Ilhan Omar, who's Somalian, who represents a district in Minnesota. So, like, there's a lot at play here as to why this location was picked. Right.
All of it being because of political optics.
Right.
There's nothing like and yes, sure, is it a sanctuary city or whatever? Yes. Does that mean that that Minneapolis is overrun with violent criminal aliens who they can just go in there and target and get the fuck out of there? Not in particular.
Right.
Like there's not a great number of violent illegal aliens in Minneapolis as opposed to anywhere else.
Right.
And so like they were very clearly courting this sort of unpleasant interaction between a known blue city, right, with a strong liberal tradition there and like a strong independent tradition as well. It's a weird state. Right? Like they made Jesse the Body Ventura there.
They're really,
governor.
Really nice.
Right. They were also the only state that voted against old Ronnie back in the days.
Yeah. But Trump and Miller in particular, no doubt, as his essentially one of his closest advisors, was looking for this sort of thing. Now, that doesn't mean that they were hoping that they were going to get to shoot Americans in the streets when they decided to do this, but they were courting this sort of chaos, and they did that on purpose, and
Right.
like that needs to be kept top of mind also.
Right, because I think the next look, I think they're trying to go somewhere in Maine, and there's like some rumblings they're going to come to Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's a blue city, but it's in a red state. That would be run counter to the previous cities where it was like blue city in a blue state. Like this, if they were to come to Atlanta, it would be a change in direction.
Well, anything he does in Georgia is like as a Georgia Republican, like you can single-handedly point at Donald Trump as the reason that you have 2 Democratic senators from
Definitely,
that state. Like, and the fact that it went blue that one time.
Right.
Like it's just like he is personally responsible for that. I did want to play, because I did, of course, watch all of the Sunday shows, and like I think it's worth listening to Bovino in particular as he says this total nonsense. And like notably, this is a full 24 hours later that he's sitting down with Dana Bash of CNN, rather than that immediate response afterwards, which I think is also worth pointing to. And I think that not that Trump, there's been some talk the last few hours, that he's in retreat on the Minnesota thing, that somehow they're going to be sort of pulling back from this.
Right.
And for what it's worth, Bovino has been removed from the situation there and sent back to California or Texas or something, wherever Border Patrol headquarters is. And I saw something that he's expected to like sort of quietly retire at some point in the next little bit. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but he's been removed from the front lines. He's no longer in charge of the operation in Minnesota, and instead Tom Homan, who I think I expressed a surprise at the relative care with which he commented after the Renee Good shooting, where he was sort of the only person in the Trump administration saying, yeah, I'm not going to comment on this. We need to have an investigation before we figure out precisely what happened. As opposed to trying to call her a domestic terrorist who deserved to be shot in the street. But he's like he is apparently given a presidential certificate or award or something by Barack Obama. Like, this is a guy who has been through multiple administrations and as a immigration cop or a border cop, and so like as unpleasant as he is in terms of his presentation, at least he's not one of these fire throwers,
like,
basically.
Yeah, like a true believer type.
Right. But in the immediate aftermath of this, apparently as a result of Bovino talking to Stephen Miller tweeted, "An assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response." And this is a quote tweet of Chris Murphy, who is demanding that ICE leave Minnesota. He's a Connecticut senator. And then he also says that Congress should not fund ICE right now, or that this version of ICE we should not fund, and so therefore we might have a government shutdown on the immediate horizon.
I mean, the ship has sailed on that. I mean, they're funded through the big beautiful bill. So they're flush with money.
So there's hundreds of millions of dollars in the big beautiful bill that they can draw from, but there was additional funding in the most recent budget deal that was supposed to go into effect at the end of this week, I think, that now Democratic senators say that they're going to stand in the way of, because it sends additional money to ICE.
Right.
It is entirely symbolic, as
Right.
you're suggesting,
Yeah.
because yes, I think. In my head, the number that jumped out to me when you said that was $170 million, but that could be wrong. So feel free to disregard that. But
I don't
there's a
remember
ton
the
of
number.
money
Yeah.
already set aside that ICE and Border Patrol can draw from
Right.
to effectuate their policy here. But like Miller calling him an assassin who tried to murder federal agents is ridiculous. Like there's no indication whatsoever that this guy was anything but a good guy. And I know that doesn't matter, and it really shouldn't matter, but like when I'm trying to explain this to my children, a 37-year-old nice guy, a guy who's a nurse in a veterans hospital, right? Like he's a federal employee who works for the Veterans Affairs Administration as an ICU nurse. And by all accounts, like, and who knows, maybe he's a shit. Maybe he has too many drinks and pinches girls' asses when they don't want it, right? Like in the fullness of the human, we will always be able to milkshake duck somebody, right? Like eventually they will turn out to have been less than perfect. But by every reasonable public accounting of who this guy is, seems like an ideal citizen, right? Like the sort of person that you want in your community and in your country. And who in the moments, in the seconds before he was shot, I don't know what his last words were. The last words that you hear him say are you okay? I didn't think it was going to make me emotional. Jumping in here the next day, slight misspeak there when I was talking about the video. The "are you okay" thing comes from witnesses. It's not entirely clear. You can hear some shouting about okay on the video, but it's not entirely clear who is saying what. But according to people who were right there in the vicinity as it happened, among his last words were to ask the woman who'd been knocked to the ground, "Are you okay?" I imagine if the Border Patrol body cam eventually comes out and perhaps Pretti's video that he was taking eventually comes out, we'll have a more complete picture of his last moments there. But yeah, just to clarify that, you can't, or at least I can't, precisely hear him saying the words, "Are you okay?" there. Not that doesn't really materially change anything, but wanted to get it precisely correct. He's standing there in the street. He watches a masked federal agent of the state shove a woman with two hands who falls over a pile of snow onto her ass, and he reaches out to her and says, "Are you okay?" And that is possibly his last words before these fucking scumbags throw him to the ground and shoot him 10 times. And to have someone in Miller's position and Bovino's position and Noam's position to immediately try to tell us that this was a guy intent on murder, right? A guy who's a terrorist or an assassin or someone with hate in his heart is shameful. It does matter that he was a good guy, right? Like, and I say it shouldn't matter because it shouldn't matter. Masked agents of the state shouldn't be shooting people, whether they're good or they're bad. But like, it obviously matters that he seemed like he was a really good guy.
Right.
And it's just like, I know Bovino in particular looks like this little Napoleonic piece of shit. What he looks like is the Sean Penn character in One Battle After Another.
Lockjaw?
Right? Like right. I haven't seen the movie yet, but just from watching the previews, it's like, oh, an officious fucking prick of a law enforcement officer. Like, that's like, this guy is out of a textbook of that sort of stuff. Like, just a small little man who insists on like, oh no, these are the rules, and the rules are always good. And if you're not in line with the rules, then you're the bad guy, and I'm always in the right because I have this fucking badge, right? I don't see your badge, and I'm a good law enforcement guy, and I speak in the way that like in the only way that a small, worthless little prick like him could possibly speak is the way that he is who he is. And I'm, don't apologize for it, Mr. Bovino. It's just in your nature. There's no getting around it. Anyway, I want to play a couple of clips of him because I don't know why.
Because fuck that guy.
Right. And the first one that I'll play is the statement that he made in the press conference in the immediate aftermath of this.
During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
It's worth noting that basically none of that is true.
Right.
I know that we said after Renee Good, like, I don't understand why. Like, I sincerely don't understand why he's going on television within 4 hours or something, less than 4 hours, of this guy being shot in the street and telling these sorts of lies. He says he approached you can almost say that he approached officers with a handgun, and you can massage that into something like the truth, because he had on his person at that time a concealed handgun, which he was licensed and permitted to carry.
But he says it in an intentionally misleading way, right? Just like, I mean,
right. And then Kristi Noem immediately picks up on that and says that and maybe she stumbles over her words, but like that's the wages of speaking freely in front of microphones and being willing to twist and bend the truth, is that you're going to say things that you didn't necessarily mean to say. So she says that he's brandishing a gun at law enforcement, which is completely not in keeping with reality, and nothing that she could have known except for, because it's not like she was there, right? And anytime you get these people to at least acknowledge that an investigation should be done, and like, yes, this is something that we look into as a routine matter of any time a police officer or Border Patrol agent fires their gun, there's always bureaucratic paperwork that goes into that, right? They have to do the investigation. They have no problem whatsoever passing judgment on the goings-on inside the brain of the person who's dead already. Right. On the ground, right? Like, we need a full investigation to see what the police did here, but we have no problem whatsoever impugning or figuring out all of what's happening inside the mind of the person that we just shot.
Right. Yeah. Bob, earlier was saying, like, the Alex Pretti person being a good guy. Like, I always say, like, you shouldn't, seeking out or looking for the perfect victim is always kind of like a pointless thing. But this shows, in this case,
it's real close.
It doesn't matter, right? This is as close as you could get to a perfect victim. And just the way that Bovino and others speak, like, it wouldn't matter the circumstances. Like, the reality does not matter. It's just like, fuck them. They're in the out group or in the in group, and I'm going to defend my people regardless of the evidence. Because you would think, in a situation like this, you would say, we're going to let the investigation, get to the bottom of it and bring on board the Minnesota people that they've shut off in the previous investigation. Try to build some sort of trust in the community. But instead, it's like, this terrorist came with a gun and like a magazine, like he's some school shooter or something. And then you see the video, like, what are you talking about? You guys pushed him. You're spraying things at people. There's like 5 guys on top of him. The gun is removed from him, and then he is shot multiple times. So like, none of what you just said makes any sense. But you say it confidently. I'm sure there's an audience for this somewhere, but it just doesn't make any sense as to why you would take this approach.
And the video, like, and it's not that I can excuse the first shot, which you watch this, and I'll make sure there's a link. The Times, in particular, has a very good 5-minute breakdown, moment by moment, and it's worth watching. As unpleasant as it is, it's worth seeing for yourself everything that unfolded, and watching, and it is also worth keeping in mind, and this is less apparent from a frame-by-frame retelling of the moment, that it's chaotic. And like, I'm not trying to damn these men who killed him to hell, right? Like, that's not my job. I recognize that it's a chaotic moment, and like, mistakes will be made. Right. But like, at least let's acknowledge that mistakes were made, right? Like, and that even if you choose to attribute it to a chaotic moment in which a person has a mistaken idea about the amount of danger, because that, at the very least, we have to say the cops who fired on him were severely mistaken about the extent to which they were in danger, right? So if the guy who first shoots him in the back while he's on his knees, who appears to have line of sight to the gun being removed from his back right hip where it was holstered, right? It appears that he hears someone say, gun, 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 he's got a gun, he's got a gun, and then watches as one of his fellow agents removes a gun from his back hip area there and then shoots him in the back. Like, maybe in that guy's mind, the thought is he's got a gun in his hand in addition to the one that he's just watched being removed from his hip, right? And or that somehow like the gun call was because it was in his hand rather than on his hip. And so in his head somehow the threat is still live, right? So that is the best steel man argument I can make for the mistake that was made in this guy's head, rather than, oh, I heard he's got a gun, free, right? Free kill now. Yeah. Like I now have free reign to shoot this guy as he lays there or on his knees on the pavement with his face in the fucking asphalt. Right. But like, if I can not even excuse, but if I can sort of find a way to justify that, the fact that after those first 4 shots that he shoots into him are done, there's a beat. There's a moment where he's now dying on the street. Right. And the guy who initially pepper sprayed him and who had just a moment before was hitting him in the face with his used pepper spray can. Right? Like, so he pepper sprays him, and then they're all beating on him, and then he's now been right up until the moment that he's shot, the second cop shooter is hitting him in the head with the aluminum can of pepper spray, then unholsters his weapon after the first 4 shots have been fired, and 6 additional shots are fired as he's on the pavement. Like, that's where it's like, how do you're looking at him from the front where you can see his hands and his arms. There's no confusion about whether or not this guy is a continued threat. He's just been shot in the back 4 times. Right. Why do you have to kill him deader? Like that's where I start to like what is even happening here? Right, and the way that I'm seeing it is because they can, like, you have a perfect storm here where the vetting is not great. I mean, I know not everyone is just got in like in the last year or so. Some have more years under their belt, but the vetting isn't great of these officers. The protection, the political protection they're getting, basically, I mean, didn't Vance float the idea of immunity a few weeks ago? He walked that back. You got Bovino defending the officers no matter what they do. So if you are a trigger-happy person, if you are the type of person that's seeking a reason to shoot, these situations are like powder keg, like any sort of thing. Like if somebody yells gun, that may be like either like trigger happy or like, hey, I see an opportunity to kill somebody legally, whatever the case may be. If you continue to do this, more of this will happen. Like this will continue to happen until this approach ends. And it's shifting to other places. There seems to be de-escalating in Minnesota. Hopefully that sticks, but this is not over. They're going to move to different locations. They're going to keep it up, keep egging people on until something else happens, and then we're back to square one. This is from, 20 hours later or something after that press conference that he gave. He's appearing, and he made the rounds on the Sunday shows this week, at least 3 or 4 of them. This is Bovino again now on State of the Union with Dana Bash.
So we're not going to adjudicate that here on TV in one freeze frame there. Okay, it's not a freeze frame. We're showing a video of one of your agents taking the gun away, and that happened before Pretti was shot. We don't know that agent was taking any gun away. That could have been the agent's, because we don't know that. The facts are going to come to light.
So you're
as to
disputing
what
the video,
exactly
that that's what happened?
With an that's why we investigate.
Well, with respect, you say that's why we investigate, but you're also drawing other conclusions that sort of fly in the face of waiting for an investigation. I just want to also go back to what I was asking about with regard to what Secretary Noem said, that he was brandishing a gun. At any point, do you have any evidence that, yes, he had a gun on his person? Was he brandishing it? Was he a threat because he had a gun in his hand that put law enforcement in danger?
Dana, we heard the law enforcement officer say gun, gun, gun. So at some point, they knew there was a gun. So again, that is going to be part of that investigation as to what was happening on the ground there between those victims, the Border Patrol agent victims, and the suspect.
Both the police chief in Minneapolis, O'Hara, and Governor Walz say Pretti was legally licensed to carry a concealed weapon. So are you saying it's not okay for him to exercise his Second Amendment right, not to mention his First Amendment right to be there in the first place, but his Second Amendment right to carry a gun? And if you do, you can be shot by federal law enforcement?
No, I didn't say that, Dana. I never said that. What I'm saying is we respect that Second Amendment right, but those rights don't count when you riot and assault, delay, obstruct, and impede law enforcement officers, and most especially when you mean to do that beforehand.
How do you know that?
When you mean to do that beforehand, when you show up to an active crime scene, don't leave the crime scene and you're armed, then, you've got the decision-making process for that individual doesn't seem to be very good. Now, back to the Second Amendment, what you're saying about the Second Amendment is peacefully protesting with firearms. Absolutely, I've done that myself and fully support that, but not when you perpetrate violence, obstruct, delay, or obfuscate Border Patrol in the performance of their duties in an active crime scene.
There's no evidence that he was perpetrating violence. And there's no evidence, unless you have it, and we'd love to see it if there is, that he was intending to massacre law enforcement, other than the fact that he was there and he had a gun lawfully.
He meant to be there beforehand. Again, Dana, he came there beforehand.
How do you know that?
A reason.
How do you know that?
Because he was there.
But all he was doing was filming and documenting it, which is legal. He was carrying a gun, which in Minneapolis is legal.
I didn't say it wasn't. And I didn't say it wasn't legal.
So then what did he do that was illegal?
Assault federal law enforcement when he does that. That's an active law enforcement crime scene.
Where do you see in the video that he was
decided to enter into?
Where do you see in the video that he was assaulting law enforcement? Because from everything we have seen, law enforcement was assaulting him when he was there trying to help another individual.
Dana, law enforcement doesn't assault anyone. Follow directions of law enforcement.
I don't even know where to stop or start that, because it's an interview that's worth watching in whole. But he's insisting that just by being there, by being present at the scene of law enforcement action and possessing a firearm that he's lawfully, both constitutionally and according to local rules, allowed to have on his person, that he is somehow a threat. And I mean, the easy irony of the right now getting into the splitting hairs territory on the Second Amendment is funny. It's not surprising to me that Donald Trump feels icky about gun, it's like in his mind, like it's a bad guy who's got a gun here in all likelihood, right? Only the bad guys have guns. He's never been.
Yeah, he's never been a pro-gun guy, right? Like, didn't he say in the past, like, take the guns and we'll sort out the law later, like after?
Right. Not a big gun guy.
Yeah.
But also, he's hardly the only one who would more likely be a vociferous defender of people's Second Amendment rights, who have become less so in the last couple of days because of this incident.
Right.
I must have started this too late. I wanted to play the part where he talks about victims and like who the victim is here. Let me see if I can find it.
The situations are chaotic and ever-changing. Follow directions for law enforcement. Don't inject yourself knowingly beforehand into a law enforcement situation.
With respect, it feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents. The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation. The victims are the Border Patrol agents there.
I want you to watch the 5-minute New York Times breakdown of video and then try to convince yourself with all of your available might that the victims are the Border Patrol agents. This was one man who was trying to stand in between a Border Patrol agent and the woman that he had just shoved down with 2 hands to the ground. And then he was surrounded by 6, maybe, Border Patrol agents while he was on his knees on the ground and then shot 10 times. And this guy has the stones to tell us that he's a suspect and that the Border Patrol agents are the victims here.
Right. Yeah.
The victims of what?
Right.
Of, as you're saying, a failure to respect authority. Like, I guess if that's how you choose to interpret it, it's not clear to me that he was entirely disrespectful of their authority either. Like, is he doing precisely what they would want him to do if they were marionetting him there on the street? No, of course not. He's a human being who has his own will and ability to exist in the world. So no, I guess if you are not simply behaving at the total whim of, or at the mind control whim of the Border Patrol, then yeah, that is somehow disrespectful.
And also, it should be noted that this whole operation, the argument for even having so many people there, at least to the public, is that you're getting the worst of the worst. People who shouldn't be here, and on top of that, they've committed crimes while they were here. And now you have 2 American citizens dead, right? So, like, even if you cared about, like, the pursuit of that goal, like, this undermines it. You know, there's a lack of credibility with the people, you know, DHS Secretary and Bovino. They lack the credibility to continue to make that case when you're making an argument that is undermined by just watching the video. Like, none of what you're saying is true. So
the good news is, to the extent that there's good news, is that Bovino seems to be on the way out. I think there's a non-zero chance that Kristi Noem doesn't have her job 6 weeks from now, that they will find some way for her to not be in charge of DHS anymore. And I'm sure that they will do it in the most thankful and like golden parachute way possible, that they won't entirely throw her under the bus. But like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, she's a nightmare out there. And but the bad news is Stephen Miller's not going anywhere. Right? Stephen Miller behind the scenes, who is feeding Kristi Noem. Like, she says she only takes orders from 2 people, and it's Stephen Miller and the President of the United States. Like, right. Stephen Miller is the underlying problem here. He is the author of the chaos that we're seeing in American cities, and there's zero chance that he's cutting Stephen Miller loose anytime soon.
Right. And you know, typically this administration has opted not to fire people, instead like promote them out, you know, like give them an ambassador role or something like that. I don't know what you can give a cabinet secretary, though. Like, it would have to be some sort of demotion, unless they opened up like the ambassadorship.
Yeah, but she could just
France.
announce that she's leaving, right? Like, that's what she could just say.
She's going to open up a dog daycare or something, like a dog daycare center somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's optimistic. Maybe she's not going anywhere, but who knows? To your point about their claims of going after the worst of the worst, and the consistent refrain that I hear from supporters of Trump's efforts here is Are you defending child molesters?
Right.
Because they're going after the child molesters and the murderers and the rapists. And why are you standing in the way of that? Well, unfortunately, that's not the only people that they're going after. And the guy that was the subject of this particular law enforcement action, it's not they don't do a very good job of explaining what the charges are. And so, like, DHS claims this guy is a domestic abuser, that he has charges against him in the past of doing domestic abuse. There's no record in Minnesota of him ever having any interactions with the Minnesota Department of Corrections. He's never been charged for anything, at least in their part of the world. And maybe, I suppose it's entirely plausible that he was in Chicago or somewhere else where he did bad shit, and so he had to leave town rather than face the heat. I don't know.
Right.
But regardless, like, there's just way too much other video of DHS and ICE behaving badly and taking things to an extreme to get people who don't appear to be the worst of the worst.
Right. And sometimes it appears that they're on a fishing expedition, like where, hey, say some words just to see if I can detect an accent, or like, shouldn't there be like, this person, this suspect lived, last known address is here. Let's get 6 people, a tactical unit, to go there. Like, it's not like
and then they do that, and they bang down the door of an old Asian man who they pull out into the snow in his underpants,
Right.
who's and there's no sign of the suspect.
Right.
Like so, like, even when they are trying to do the thing that you're describing, they fail in spectacular ways. And there's multiple reports of them just picking people up and driving them, in some cases just driving them a couple of towns over while they try to figure out who they are, and say, oh, turns out you're a perfectly legal American citizen. And then they kick them out of the car in the Walmart parking lot 20 minutes from where they picked them up.
Right.
Or they use their children as bait.
Yeah, I mean,
or there was one that I saw today where they had transferred them multiple states, like brought them to Texas from Minnesota, and then discovered, oh, you actually have a valid asylum claim, and it has been adjudicated that you are here legally by our courts, and now you can find your way back to Minnesota, I guess.
Right.
But we're not giving you a ride back home.
Right.
Like, this is nightmare stuff. And then there's a video and again, like, you never know how much of this stuff you can trust, but there's a video that I just saw this evening of an ICE SUV driving by protesters who are on the sidewalk, who are just lined up on the sidewalk doing the shouty protest thing, which is annoying, I guess, if you're DHS or you're ICE or whatever. But an ICE SUV drives by the line of protesters who are where they are, like, not interfering with traffic, not doing any of the things that people complain about. And they do a drive-by pepper spraying of the group of protesters. And I'll make sure there's a link to that in the show note as well. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? Right. If it's not just, like, if this is not the point, like, what else is it?
Right.
Because it seems obviously that this is the point.
Right, because if you were trying to garner public support and you were to go slow at first, find, like, the worst of the worst, make a big PR spectacle of it, have a press conference, do a thing, people say, see, look what they're doing a thing. But instead, every piece of evidence you're seeing is very cavalier attitude towards the protesters. Like, there was a guy that was saying, like, I thought we silenced you guys didn't get the message last. You just hear off the cuff, like, unrestrained remarks by some of these ICE agents, and it's like, you don't even care to appear to be trying to do something good. You just
think about how effective it would be. He has legitimately, apparently, effectively ended illegal immigration at the border, right? Like, that in a way that is it's good, in my opinion, right? Like, the only people who should be coming into this country are those who go through legal ports of entry. I know that makes me a fucking lunatic, I guess. But, like, I think that is, especially in the wake of what we saw during the Biden administration, it's not good when you can go and take video of border crossings and it's just people, like, walking across muddy fields and then unloading themselves into Texas and turning themselves over to make an asylum claim. Right. Like, it's just not – it's even if you can empathize with their awful human plight, it's not a good look, right? Like, it's real bad. And think about how incredibly effective this would continue to be for Trump and the political fortunes of the Republican Party if, in addition to ending illegal crossings at the border, which they seem to have done, in part not because of superior enforcement, but just because of the attitude shift of no longer being a Democrat who feels really awkward about saying anything bad about illegal people or illegal aliens coming across the border. And instead being someone who's very antisocial and opposed to those sorts of individuals. But if you could combine that zero illegal or basically zero illegal crossings at the border with once a week, pick a day of the week, call it a Wednesday or a Friday, you parade on all of your socials the one fucking awful gang-banging known murderer or child assaulter who you arrested that week. It doesn't have to be thousands of them. It doesn't have to be hundreds of them. If it's just one a week that you're able to turn the full force and fury of ICE onto, that's a win in a spectacular way. Right? No one is going to be mad at you as long as you keep getting it right. Right? And it shouldn't be that hard, according to your
it should be
your understanding.
Yeah, it's a target-rich environment, right? I mean, if you have so many people here and so many are committing the worst of the worst of the worst, like unless they're just so hard to find, you're just settling for using a 5-year-old as as leverage. Like, you should be able to do that, especially the first year or so where people will stop tuning in. And, okay, they're on the right track. All I see are good things, and you'd move on. But now the story is you're behaving like a thug, like, in the streets of Minneapolis. You're agitating people for reaction, and then you're shooting them when you don't like the way they behave.
Because he just wants the fight. Because in the first Trump administration, they shut down the airports, right? Like he said, we're shutting down flights as they come in. We're turning people away who were on flights and thought they were going to get into this country. Like all he wants is the heat. He wants the fight. He wants the fire. And like the actual performance of him doing good governance is he's not into it. Like it doesn't get him hard. For whatever reason, it just doesn't get the job done for him. And he's just incapable of actually even wanting to do it well. He doesn't care. He just wants himself talked about on television. And then at some point it becomes unbearable. At some point it becomes like, okay, this is a bit much, and now we'll start to pull back in Minnesota. I also one last thing. We don't have to stay on this forever. Pam Bondi sent a list of requests. I think was it before?
It was right around that time. I don't know if it was
the Saturday
before or after.
Shooting.
Yeah, it was around the same time. I don't know which came first.
No, it was. It was in the immediate after, in the hours after Pretti was killed on the street. Pam Bondi sends out a list of demands to Tim Walz for what she will accept in order to get ICE out of there, and it includes the following demand. Not only do they demand full cooperation with DHS's efforts there in the state in terms of supporting their mission to collect illegal immigrants or whatever. The fourth item there is you need to hand over all of your access to all of your voting records and voting registration records in what can only be described as either a troll, right? Like it's just we are trolling you, or as an outright grab of a state election infrastructure in an attempt to, I don't know, like what exactly?
Right.
If not fuck with it in the
nothing good could come of
it. Ahead of the next November elections.
But also it undercuts, again, the argument for why you have agents there, right? Everything seems to be like, I don't care what the optics are, like we're going to do what we're going to do. Because there was also a story not related to Minnesota, but there was a bill going through Congress and it passed pretty comfortably to provide some clean water, like in some part of the state. And Trump vetoes it only for political reasons. Like there's no argument against clean water, just fuck you to the state of Colorado for whatever reason, right? And they weren't able to drum up enough votes to override the veto. But it seems
similarly, I think there was was there money set aside for an Indian tribe in Florida or something?
It's the same.
And it was part of this same package, I think.
Yeah.
And because some like members at the top of the Indian tribe had said unpleasant things about Donald Trump, he's like, this is why I'm vetoing this, because this guy was publicly mean about me.
Right.
And that's enough for Republicans who had previously supported this thing to not even bother trying to override the veto.
Right.
Speaking of Republicans who previously supported this thing, any word on MAGA, and how they're feeling about all of this?
I mean, the idea that there is a distinct reaction to this, a reaction that's distinct from Trump himself, is sort of patently silly. It gets back to what I was saying at the top of the show. As long as they continue to perform the kayfabe, right? As long as they're willing to continue to perform the lie, then MAGA has not been betrayed, right? Like the vast majority of MAGA is going to continue to support what's going on as long as they don't get the hint that the will of the administration is sort of crumbling, right? Because
so they're fine with the "you're not allowed to bring guns places" thing.
Yeah, because those are the wrong people, right? Like this is not Kyle Rittenhouse strapping a semi-automatic rifle to his chest and traipsing through the scene of an actual riot, right? Like, if you want to see what a riot looks like, go look at the footage of the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff from a few years ago. The idea that Bovino is calling what was happening on the street there with Alex Pretti a riot is fucking absurd.
Right.
And like, it is hard to escape the Rittenhouse of it, isn't it? When you consider that Rittenhouse went to a riot and was seen, and like there were multiple scenes that we've seen following the 2020 outbursts of the right sort of people brandishing their weapons in the right sort of way for the right underlying motivations. And then to hear them talk about how Pretti deserved to be shot because he was concealed carrying and therefore a threat to officers there is just... It's incredibly too rich, right? Like it's just a bit too much. But yeah, I don't know of any breaks in the MAGA front there. Megyn Kelly, again, I went and listened to 10 minutes of a Megyn Kelly podcast to see if this would have made any impact on her. And no, she was just incredibly insulting of Alex Pretti and dismissive of him. As a left-wing agitator who essentially got what was coming to him. So the short answer is no breaks.
I suspect that you can probably stop checking in on Megyn Kelly. She's not going to change.
Anything else on the latest outrage here?
Not on the latest outrage, but as you were just speaking, I just saw something just flash on my screen here. Like Ilhan Omar, some person... tried to assault her, like while she was giving a speech just now. Like he sprayed some liquid at her, and he was subdued pretty quickly, and she continued giving the speech. But it seems like tensions are still up in Minnesota.
Yeah, she was at doing a town hall tonight, I believe.
Yeah.
The one last thing that I'll say is Scott Bessent, who has annoyed me throughout the second Trump administration. He's the Treasury Secretary.
Full disclosure, my boss.
That's right. So I'll forgive you for not having anything to say here. But a couple of weeks ago, he said that, or with the following the Trump wanting to put tariffs on European Union countries because of the whole Greenland debacle, he said that the national emergency that justified these tariffs was avoiding a national emergency, right? Like he said that the way that we justify what makes this a national emergency is that if we don't do this, then there might be a national emergency in the future, which is essentially saying we have carte blanche to do whatever. Like it's one thing to say I'm declaring that this is because of national security reasons, and I can't tell you why. You just have to take my word for it. there's an emergency and I have to exercise emergency powers. But for somebody in Trump's inner circle to come out and say, we have to do this to prevent a future national emergency, and we're going to use that potential future national emergency as the justification for use of emergency powers, is real fucking bad. And then in the wake of the Alex Pretti thing, he's saying that no one has a Second Amendment right to carry a firearm when protesting or recording law enforcement. And like he goes on the Sunday shows, he's like, I've been to protests. You know what I brought to protests? I bought a billboard. I didn't bring a gun. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, and I think that the Second Amendment absolutists are fairly fucking bonkers. Yeah. But the utter disregard that everyone in this administration, essentially from top to bottom, has of the Bill of Rights is an ongoing source of shame for them. Not that like you can throw a dart and find an ongoing source of shame, but like the total disregard that they have for the civil rights of their fellow American citizens is shameful,
and especially by people who kind of talked about these issues such as guns like a sacrosanct. Like, this is like such an important thing. Even like kids getting mowed down, we can't do any, like, you are so into the right that regardless of what happened out in the world in the United States, you were still a supporter of it. And now it's just like, oh, well, I'm on this team, so fuck it. Like, it's remarkable. Like, we've gone to a very tribal place to where, like, no matter what, I'm defending my people, no matter what they do.
Yeah. Last thing in the WGAS news bag, such as it is, this is in the Times. It said, administration social media posts echo white supremacist messaging, which is something that we've touched on in the fairly recent past. There was a post on the official DHS Gov Instagram account, and it was an image of like a B-2 bomber or stealth bomber of some sort overflying a snow-covered mountain with a lone cowboy on a horse running across the plain there in front of the mountain. And it just says, we'll have our home again, join.ice.gov. It's an employment thing. Like, hey, we got open spots here, apply. And we'll have our home again. This is from the Times. That's also the name of a song written by members of a self-described pro-white fraternal order that has been embraced by the Proud Boys and other white nationalist groups. Hundreds of explicitly neo-Nazi and white supremacist accounts have shared the song on Telegram, an encrypted messaging app, since 2020. The white supremacist who killed 3 black people at a Jacksonville, Florida dollar store in 2023 included lyrics from the song in his writing. A Homeland Security spokeswoman, Tricia McLaughlin, said that if the ICE recruiting post were actually about the song, it, quote, would be a problem and, quote, morally repugnant. But, she said, the post had no relation to the white supremacist anthem. Quote, there are plenty of references to those words in books and poems, she said, adding that she was in charge of everything posted on the department's social media accounts. But when the post was opened on Instagram's mobile app, audio from the chorus of the song played in the background.
Whoops.
After a reporter pointed this out, Ms. McLaughlin said the Times was participating in a left-wing conspiracy theory. Quote, I'm telling you it's not there, end quote, she said. Less than 40 minutes after the interview on Thursday, the Instagram post, including audio from the song, disappeared from social media. Posts on X and Facebook, which did not include an audio component, are still visible. So I think that's pretty clear there. They are using the lyrics from this song to recruit people to join them. Somebody notices that it's got white supremacist leanings, says it's from a song. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no song. And then you click
I've never even heard that song.
You click on that little speaker that's muted in your Instagram thing there, and all of a sudden the song starts playing.
You know, do you think that they think they're being clever? They're like using coded language, like defend the homeland. Like there's this AI art that's like, you know, all of the good characters are white and the not so good characters are not white. And, you know, I see Tucker Carlson peddling some replacement theory nonsense. There seems to be a concerted effort, but I wonder if the general population is not picking up on the arguments that are being made and the messaging that's being shared online, that this is what they're going for.
No, but the people who know, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the bottom
How
line.
dog whistles
Yeah,
work.
that is how dog whistles work. But it's not isolated. Like this is just one post. But if you go scrolling through, like official government social media handles, they're obviously being run by people who come from 4chan. It's
Yes.
run by like meme lords.
Yes.
And it's fucking bizarre. I don't know. And it's like, as silly as it is, that is why it feels important to like talk to our kids. Our kids have no interaction with any of this shit in the world, but like it feels
They're
like
11 and 13.
right. It feels like you have a responsibility to be like, hey, just so you know,
This fucked up.
the government is the bad guys right now. Like in a profound way, they're doing monstrously bad things on purpose because they're the bad guys.
Right.
And the
also-
good news
yeah,
is we still have, hopefully, the ability to vote them out in November and then in 2 Novembers from then as well. But I guess we'll see. All right. Quickly, cast iron balls. There was football that was watched this weekend.
Were you out snowing, cleaning up the stuff, or were you able
Oh,
to
yeah,
watch
we
it?
didn't.
Bob missed. Oh, you didn't. I watched.
Yeah, I didn't see the first
First
part
half.
of the
The bad game?
early game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a. I mean,
I
was
mean-
it?
It was a hideous football game.
It was.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. The good news is they could blame it on conditions
Yeah.
for the last 15 minutes of game time, but it wasn't good before then either.
I was going to blame it on the condition being Stidham with that dumbass fucking play.
The condition is Stidham.
Stidham, he fucked up like that play where basically it should have been like a touchdown. The fumble return for a touchdown, they blew it dead. So that was basically the only opportunity the Patriots, who had a dreadful game, I mean, May had an awful game. But, you know, it's weird how the weather kept on getting worse. They were showing like different stills throughout the whole
Really?
game. Like at the beginning of the
Kept
game,
getting
everything
really
was
bad.
fine. And then it just got out of control. This was, I should revise my previous statement. A dreadful game, except for all the shanks. I mean, I did enjoy that. Every attempt
many
to
shanks.
kick a field goal would not go anywhere. And I suspect that if Sean Payton, the pursed lip guy, if he knew about the weather forecast and knew the kind of game that this was heading towards, he wouldn't have gone for it on 4th down, where it was a very manageable field
How
goal.
could he not have? There's no way that he didn't know that weather was coming.
Do you think that the coaches keep up? Do they think they?
Yes, and he's been doing this a very long time.
Yeah.
Like he must be aware in Denver that you have to keep an eye on the fucking forecast.
Yeah, well, somebody
And the
dropped ball.
Patriots weren't doing anything.
Yes, they
you
were.
take the points, especially with Stidham as your quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, how many opportunities are you certain of that you're going to be even within field goal distance when you have a guy who hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL in 2 years?
Yeah.
Running your offense.
Yeah, the Broncos
Take the
defense.
fucking points.
The Broncos defense were let down by Stidham and Payton because they had a great game. They should have won, under normal circumstances, but here we are. We got the Patties.
That pick that Stidham threw effectively to end the game was so funny because on the play before, it seemed like there might have been a chance if he had really uncorked one, that the wide receiver might have been able to run himself open.
Yeah.
Right? Like he might have had a step on the DB, but he doesn't. He doesn't make the throw. And then and you watch what happens on the very next play where the guy goes running and he doesn't seem to think that there's a chance that he's going to be thrown the ball. The wide receiver does not act as though, I might actually get one here.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't react to the fact that there's a ball in the air. And it's not clear that even if he had known that this would have been something that he could have prevented, but the DB is the only one paying any attention.
Yeah.
And it's just a hilarious, I'm Jarrett Stidham. Like in his head, he's thinking, I'm a hero. I'm going to throw this and something good's going to happen and it's going to be cool. And it's just, nope, right to that guy. Game over.
What did you make of? It seemed like the CBS graphics department were like, "Hey, let's try this new thing where they superimpose the lines on the field for a brief period." They got rid of it pretty quickly. I think it looked too weird. But in the late
They
third,
should use
early
it
fourth quarter,
sometimes.
they were using it too often. I think you're right. There was basically like give everybody watching at home the context and then get rid of it. Because like if you have
I want no context. I love when the field is completely covered and you can't see anything. That rules.
yeah, those guys with a blower just trying to make the line.
You can still see the sticks. Like you can see the big orange fucking fence post that they carry around down there, and
Right.
you have the basic idea of where they need to get. It's
I'm
fine.
comfortably watching. I think I was drinking like hot chocolate at home. Comfortable, climate-controlled environment, and
Abe was drinking hot
all
chocolate.
of the people that are there who are basically like extras. I think we talked about this. Like like there are a lot of stadiums that are now moving to indoors. I think the Chiefs are in the near future, but it looks great from home. But I would hate to
Right.
be there, like just fucking eating shit for like 4 hours, and then your team loses to dumbass.
Oh, that's the best part. It's like you probably even like you didn't go like maybe you checked the forecast, but you don't go to that game thinking, "Oh, what a nightmare this is going to be when the snow starts
especially-
coming down."
I mean, you said Colorado. When we went there, I'm like obsessed with checking weather, especially going on a trip. Like I just want to make sure I
Yeah.
bring the exact right clothes because I can only bring some of them. And Emily, our sister-in-law, always makes fun of me for it. When we were visiting them in Colorado, she was like, "Don't even look. It's just not. It can change in an hour."
Okay.
And I'm thinking she's talking, don't look a week ahead because that can change. No, you can wake up in Colorado and it's like, oh, it's going to be cloudy and cold. And then there's a blizzard
Oh wow.
and you didn't know. It was, oh yeah, it was a blizzard. We didn't know it
That's
was
wild.
coming. So yeah, you can try to be aware of it, but in Colorado, it just changes so fast.
I have no particular animus for the people of Colorado as a general rule. But it is always funny to me when a stadium full of people has to eat shit. And it's particularly it's particularly funny when like it's because of coaching decisions and bad quarterback play. And then magnified by the fact that like the diehards are like, "Oh, we're going to stick out this weather. We're not afraid. This doesn't suck at all. This
Yeah.
is awesome. Well, welcome to Colorado." And then they're in the fucking parking lot trying to dig out of a snowdrift. And like, he's fucking 6 beers deep.
Yeah.
And he's driving across the snow on the way home. Like,
This
no
is
good.
the conference title game. Your home. You're a home dog, but I'm sure they were there hours before, getting under the beer. Just a very long day just to lose.
If the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, having played like historically bad by NFL standards schedule, and then had dreadful quarterback play
I know.
in the playoffs. Right? He was bad this week. He was bad the week before.
Yeah.
Like, can they win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because it's only
with
one game.
this sort of quarterback play?
It's only one game, and anything can happen. It doesn't look good, and also, his best game is maybe ahead of him. In a couple of weeks, he'll fine tune it. But it's remarkable how fortunate the Patriots have been all year, and now they're going up against a very good Seattle team who won in a close game. It shouldn't have been that close. There was that idiot number 27 who was like talking shit to the sideline, and it was like a 4th down situation. He's talking shit. Get it. I think Matt Stafford got involved also, but they do a personal foul penalty, and then immediately Stafford throws a touchdown, and now the game is close. Shouldn't have been that close.
Well, except the game should have been like the Rams kind of shot themselves in the dick throughout this game. They muff a punt. They have the ball. I think they got the ball back at the end of the first half with a minute and a half to go, and then the Seahawks score a touchdown before the half ends. Right? So they have the lead 13-10 with a minute and a half to go in the half. The worst case scenario is that you take a 13-10 lead into the half. Right? At that point, you run your 2-minute offense, and you're like, at the very worst, we're going to kick a field goal here and maybe go up 16-10. Maybe we can even go up 20-10 here. And instead, they go into the half now trailing 17-13, which is a fucking travesty. And then there was something else that happened later in that game that was frustrating. It doesn't matter. I was bummed because I wanted Stafford to win, obviously. And it must be said, though, like our boy Sam Darnold, after a tremendous year in Minnesota says, we don't need you. We've got J.J. McCarthy coming. We're not, you were a good fill-in, but you can get the fuck out of here. And then he goes to Seattle, and now they're in the fucking Super Bowl?
They're in the crazy. Super Bowl. The Pope thing worked. It should be noted, I think, didn't we talk about this? We can have a Mendoza champion in the college ranks and then a Darnold champion in the Super Bowl in the NFL. It's a weird year if that's what happens. I mean, regardless of what happens, Drake May winning would be also weird.
Yeah. I think this is the arrangement of teams that I wanted the least.
Really?
Yeah, I had no interest in seeing New England.
But we're going to watch anyway.
Of course we're going to watch the fucking Super Bowl, but still. Briefly, in Hall of Fame news, I don't think we mentioned that Andruw Jones has been finally elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. It was late in coming, but quite deservedly so. It's shameful that they made Andruw wait this long, but he joins his fellow 90s Braves, Chipper Jones, and then the three dominant pitchers, Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox, there in the Hall, appropriately so. But in National Football Hall of Fame news, Bill Belichick has reportedly been denied access to the Hall in his first year of eligibility.
It is a travesty. If an 8-time, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator, Super Bowl champ can't get in on the first ballot, then what is a first ballot Hall of Famer? What does that mean? First of all, he didn't need like a unanimous vote to get in he didn't need 80% of the votes, and he.
Who votes on the Football Hall of Fame? Because in baseball, it's writers, basically. It's just essentially writers. Who votes on
that's a good
Football
question.
Hall of
I think
Fame?
it's a mix. I think it's supposed to be writers, but Bill Polian, who is a front office dork for my Colts and the Bills, apparently was swaying the vote to bring it under the 80% threshold. So like some sort of let's punish Belichick for the sins of the Spygate and the Deflategate stuff. Like that's on the shoulders of Belichick and not Robert Kraft, who's also being considered for the Hall of Fame, and not Tom Brady, who deflated the balls. Like Belichick has to be the one that eats this shit. Like this seems to be like a petty personal thing that undermines the integrity of this selection committee. Again,
it is right. So I just Googled this up. AI tells me it's a 50-member committee consisting primarily of veteran NFL media representatives from each pro football city, 2 from LA, New York, and 1 from the Pro Football Writers of America, and up to 17 at-large delegates. Candidates must receive 80% approval. It is a hysterical and absurd reflection on the illegitimacy of this process that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, he's like textbook first ballot.
Is it worth it for Bill Polian, who apparently gets his way here, that Bill Belichick doesn't get in on the first ballot, relative to the cost to the reputation of this whole system? Like, it's just... I don't see how, when you do that cost-benefit analysis, if you're Bill Polian, that you think that pulling the strings here and insisting that, he's going to have to wait a year because of his complicity in Deflategate is worth the squeeze.
I just don't understand why so many would go along. Maybe a couple of protest votes or whatever, but to have...
Well, I think the reason it's and this is why I sort of hesitate to fully buy into the Bill Polian pulling the strings here narrative, which is this is a guy who went out of his way to be unpleasant to media for the entirety of his career. Right? Like he's a prickly son of a bitch who's made himself even less pleasant in the last few years by having this Jordan Hudson person sort of running his whole public persona and presentation. So like that's almost enough for me, that it could be a bunch of petty, like, as if this was the baseball world, it would be easy. It would be like, this is just the baseball writers getting back at somebody who was unpleasant to them for 40 years of their professional careers.
Yeah.
And so like, fuck this guy, we'll make him wait a year.
I hear this. It does happen in baseball, and that's probably the better scenario or the more likely scenario than Polian pulling the strings. But if you're a writer or somehow involved in the process, you've been following baseball or football forever. You would let something outside the football field to take into account, like how he treated you throughout the years. Like you're judging them based on what they did, either as a player, as a front office person, or as a head coach.
Right.
8 Super Bowls is an undeniable resume. Undeniable. Like it's not like a could go either way. This is an undeniable resume. Belichick could shit in your face and you would still have to vote him in. Like, I just don't understand.
That's what he's going. This is why previously I would have not been excited for Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
But like when he gets in now, the opportunity there for just shitting on everyone it's almost mandatory.
Right. I don't want to call for any sort of illegal activities, but that anonymous group, they've been laying dormant for a while. Somebody needs to hack into this database to see who are these 10-plus writers who voted against. Let their reputation suffer in the public.
Yeah, I mean they should all have to answer for it.
Yeah, because there's no justifying this.
Still no Strassman. He did a report on whenever some weird shit happens with the space program, they trot Strassman out, but he hasn't done any quick 2-3 minute reported pieces since the Tony DeCopel took over there at the CBS Evening News. I don't know what the deal is. They have DeCopel doing the chuckle fuck segment himself at the end of these newscasts, and it's really robbing us of potential Strassmans.
I am not comfortable with the direction that CBS News is taking. I read this article from on NPR about the plans to kind of change the format and make some cuts. Hopefully, Strassman is not one of the cuts, because if he's not getting a lot of a lot of play, he may be on the outside looking in.
You can't trust NPR. I discovered this morning.
Oh, really?
Senior national correspondent.
So this morning, I drove the four-wheel drive car, which Bob usually drives, and it was on NPR, and they were doing a segment, or they were talking about doing a segment on Black academia.
In the biz, we call that Blackademia. Go
they're
on.
not. They didn't. They at no point did they say Blackademia. This is not a journalism. This is.
Was that the point that you were making?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in a good mood until I was waiting for them to just one time say Blackademia. No, not a reputable news source anymore.
You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. You can find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com for more from us. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com for more from Mark. Abe, what movies did you see this week?
I went to go see Mercy, which is a new movie starring Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec and other such things.
Oh, where it's like Minority Report?
Yeah, a poor man's Minority Report.
Before you say anything, is it an entire pile of shit? Because looking at the trailers, it looks like an entire pile of shit. It looks like they saw the Ice Cube movie, War of the Worlds, on Amazon Prime last year, and were like, but Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes. Okay.
So we're gonna class up this Ice Cube piece of shit with Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, and we're going to call it good. So
the Rotten Tomatoes split. The critics 23%, not big fans of this movie. Pile of shit is how they conclude. What they think of the movie. The audience 82%. They like it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it's wow. It's not a particularly good movie because I've already seen this before, but it's fine. The way that, just to kind of set it up, this is in the near future. Anytime they do any sort of future stuff, it's always negative spin. People hate the future for some reason in art. They've developed this AI-assisted technology to root out crime, and Chris Pratt is a detective, very similar to how it was with Tom Cruise. He wakes up drunk, hungover. He's a recovering alcoholic. He's like, that can't be. What am I? And he's accused
Apparently
of
not.
stabbing his wife, right? And now the way that it's set up, Rebecca Ferguson, she's the AI judge. And basically the way it's set up in the future, everything's very clean. You got 90 minutes to prove your case or you die, all right? So he's got 90 minutes.
the robot.
And then they make available to you any sort of tool you want. Like all the cameras, you can say, hey, show me this, show me that. And he's a detective, so he already has a skill set. So the whole movie is just him trying to prove his innocence.
But it is one of these like screen life movies, right? Where everything essentially happens on a device.
A good chunk. Basically, it's like a big screen. He's like restrained in a chair, and he's talking to AI Ferguson, and she's like, he's directing traffic. Like, what do you want to see? And they pull up this camera. They pull up that camera.
The trailer makes it look so cheap and cheesy.
There's some of that, but once you get past it, it's actually not that bad. I came in knowing that it was going to be a pile of shit, but I was like, for a pile of shit, it's not bad. So maybe I'm grading on a curve here. Well worth a watch on a streaming. If you just,
it's just that there's some like the aesthetics of the screen life movie turn me off immensely. I spend way too much of my life
that's right.
looking at, and it's funny, you look at as I wear this goofy Pixel watch now, and it tracks my sleep for me.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better sleep after shoveling the last 3 days.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
I know, but I'm choosing to attribute it to less screen time throughout the day.
Well, isolate the variables and see how it goes.
Yeah, but no, it's
anyway. The point that I'm trying to say is, like, I spend way too much of my conscious life interacting with these fucking devices. I don't want to, in the process of watching a screen for 2 hours or however long this movie is,
it's not very long.
Spend the entire time watching this asshole watch screens. Like, what are we doing here?
It's not that obnoxious, but yes, obviously there's a lot of screen action, but it's not as obnoxious as you make it sound. But it's not like, don't go in thinking it's going to be an Oscar contender. It's a perfectly serviceable movie.
And I've been charmed. Like Chris Pratt is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's no Harrison Ford or anything, but he's perfectly fine. Modern actor, and I like Rebecca Ferguson a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care for Chris Pratt in those Jurassic World movies, but otherwise he's okay. I also, on the TV front, since there was weather outside, I was like, let's see what's on TV. It's been a while since I've tuned into a show, and on FX there's this new show, The Beauty. It's one of those Ryan Murphy productions.
The Substance, but boys.
Yeah. And it's one of those kind of things. But basically, the gist of it is, it's only 3 episodes in. It's not that bad. The gist.
Can I ask you a question before you go further here? Because Ryan Murphy's made a lot of television.
Yes.
And like back at the start of the Ryan Murphy experience, I think I watched an episode or 2 of American Horror Story, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I get it. And then I've only seen his stuff advertised and have never bothered to. I think he did the OJ one.
Yeah,
also.
Yes, he did that series.
Yeah, American Crime Story and then American Horror
American Crime Story.
Yeah.
Right, and so we watched the OJ Ryan Murphy
Cuba
thing.
Gooding Jr.
And that was like incredibly cheesy and silly, especially in the wake of OJ Made in America, which I think didn't it almost immediately follow it, or was it before it? I don't know.
No, the documentary was first.
Yeah, documentary was first. So you watched this really spectacular ESPN produced documentary, OJ Made in America, and then shortly thereafter you're watching the dramatized version of it from Ryan Murphy.
Yeah,
I just don't care for his whole thing.
He is over the top.
I don't either.
He's over the top, but sometimes I don't know. It sometimes works. So. I didn't like a lot of his American Horror stuff. I did enjoy the over-the-top ridiculousness of Cuba Gooding playing O.J. Simpson. This one is it's based on some book. I've never heard of it. It's called a comic book, The Beauty, same name. But the story is there is some sort of virus, some weird mutation of a virus. In the show, they described it as like Ebola and AIDS having a child or something. But not, they don't work like that. But basically,
like 9/11 times 100.
There is some sort of sexually transmitted treatment to make you look beautiful, right? But there's a catch, like your body's gonna explode in a couple of years. Like basically, it's like it alters your some sort of RNA sequence. And I didn't pay attention to the science, but basically, it's an inconceivable plot. But basically, it makes.
Would you trade a couple of years
Yes.
of being beautiful in the world for a much shortened and painful end to your life?
But and also they don't tell you about the short runway. They're just
Gotcha.
So it's like these people who are like depressed. There's the one character, this fat black chubby guy who's like paying for the services of webcam girls, and he's run out of funds. He lives with his mom. Nobody likes him. He's very depressed, and somebody directs him to this shady doctor, and he gets into this whole thing, and he becomes a good-looking guy, and he's
Question.
Yeah.
Did they replace the actor?
Yes, yes. I was like, boy. As
that's-
I'm watching this, I'm like, boy.
They couldn't have like given him 6 months to do a glow up or
Oh
something.
no! That was you need more than 6 months. He was a heavy set fellow. He means well, but no, there's no way to do that. You need to have a
Means
second
well.
character. But they've done that. Rebecca Hall, she's been in movies in the past. She's a detective. She plays a detective. She gets infected also. But basically, the gist of it is, if you want to avoid this disease, don't have sex with really, really good-looking people who want to have sex with you. Like that should be a tell. Like if you're not getting that sort of response in the general world, and out of nowhere, like a model comes up at you, stay away.
Why is the smoke show trying to sleep? Are they able to offload this in some way? Like is it like that? It follows
Yeah, I
movie
think
where
it's only 3 episodes in. I think that's where they're headed. They didn't really explain why they're just fucking randoms. But it's an entertaining enough show. At least it was over the weekend when I was watching it. Like I said, it's only 3 episodes in.
It's important to note that that's, to me, Moore's ex-husband.
right. Ashton Kutcher is in this.
Oh, he's in this. Yeah, he's the guy behind the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just
But
funny
like
that
she
like,
did the substance, and
Right.
he's doing this.
yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't think
It's
about that.
kind of weird.
Yeah. Also, the guy from Hamilton, Anthony Ramos, is in this. He's playing this obnoxious
Love Anthony
serial
Ramos.
killer.
I don't know if
basically
I want to watch a Ryan Murphy.
a
production, though.
narcissist guy who's he's trying to clean this up. Trying to prevent this disease from spreading. But
He's the good guy.
no. He's like
He's the bad guy.
But he's doing
Whatever,
a good
I
thing.
like
Yeah,
him.
he's trying to achieve. He's trying to contain this, like quarantine this disease that's spreading very fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We finished season 4 of Shoresy, which was wonderful.
It's so fucking good.
Everyone should watch Shoresy on Hulu.
There's no let up in quality. Like all 4 seasons have been solid.
I mean, like
I would watch the first 3, give it a break, and then watch the
Okay.
4th.
it didn't feel as compulsory to finish. Like there's a reason that we went 10 months without.
One of the reasons was football.
One of the reasons
Oh,
was
it was
football.
it
but,
wasn't
like,
just released. It's been out.
it was released a year ago almost, and I think season 5 is coming out.
Season 5 has been released in Canada, but we don't have it.
Yeah.
We will have it soon.
I think they do them pretty reliably, like February or March. So I think season 5 is coming in the next couple of months, but
It's still so good.
it's real good. It's feel good in a way that it's not treacly the way that Apple TV coach show is, the
it
soccer
really
guy.
is.
Ted Lasso.
It makes you feel so good,
Yeah.
like nothing else has.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show. And yeah, you have to sort of get past some truly gutter level humor. I mean, like it's a relentless barrage of gutter level humor. There are the amount of screen time devoted to what's just your mama jokes it's like shocking. Like percentage wise, it's probably 5 to 7% of the runtime of 4 seasons of this show is just Shoresy doing like 8 to 12 your mama jokes
But like
in a row.
rough ones.
like filthy ones.
And I wonder, I'm thinking, if we had a stopwatch, how long consecutively would it be appropriate for our children? Like it might get through 2 minutes in a chunk where it's like, oh, they can see this part. But like it's
No,
not more than 2 minutes.
You cannot make this watchable for your grandparents or your children.
Or anyone who doesn't like sports, or anyone super sensitive about like anything.
It's an unusual show. It's a unique show. It's a wonderful television
It's so
show.
good.
All right, and then we also watched the first 2 episodes, I think.
No, just one.
Just one of an HBO show called The Chair Company. Which is from Tim Robinson, I think is the guy's name, right?
Yes. From I think You Should Leave on Netflix and Detroiters. Yeah.
Have you reacted with such a joyful chuckling there? Have you seen
I
this?
watched every episode that was coming out. Yeah.
I'm
surprised I didn't mention it.
We watched the first episode, and it is a not a delight in the same way,
That's
but
weird.
But it's weird and
It is
off-putting and a lot of fun.
Bob, does the main character remind you of anyone we know straight away?
He reminds me of the man who is coming to visit us this weekend.
Interesting. I was thinking of someone else.
Well, the first episode was where the chair gave way and he was found looking up a skirt, right? And he had to...
Yes. It's on HBO. It's called The Chair Company. It's a fucking weird show. It's really funny to me.
It's a weird show, but I just find it hilarious.
And it appears like, he's going to try to unravel this vast conspiracy about this chair company, and in the process undo himself.
Yes.
Is my guess is how this is going to go. What else did we watch? Anything?
Not much. Hold on.
We watched a 3-minute recap of that fucking suicidal lunatic Alex Honnold.
Oh, the guy who's
yeah.
scaling that building in
He
Taipei.
climbed that very tall building in that Asian country.
You know what's weird? I didn't watch it live. I was like,
I know
I'll
what we
see
watched.
it pop up if he's dead, right? Like, and the New York Times would fill me in if something goes sideways. I did find it odd that there were so many kids out and about watching him and people in the office. Like, what if he actually? I mean, he wasn't going to fall, but like, if he did,
He might have.
Oh, come
He
on.
might have.
He
It's a
scaled
relatively
that big ass
like,
mountain.
there were
He could do this. Little
compared to because this is the guy who did Free Solo,
Yeah.
The documentary from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And watching that even felt weird, right? Like
Knowing he lives. Knowing it.
Right, knowing he lives. Even watching the documentary, it's like, man, I don't like. It feels weird to
Don't do this.
on the back end support somebody's obvious
You're
flirtation
contributing
with death.
to yeah. Although it'd be fun. What if you think that he wasn't going to die? I mean, wasn't Grizzly Man that did not end very well for that Grizzly Man?
Right.
Yeah.
What if it was that sort of conclusion?
But so Grizzly Man's an interesting comparison because that was a man with deep mental illness
yes.
and sort of courting a death wish, right? Like and I think like you have to wonder like how much of Alex Honnold is just like this fucking weirdo nihilist who's courting death.
This guy,
Probably a lot.
They scanned his brain. Apparently, that amygdala part of the brain not so active,
Nope.
and the risk taking is active. He's got those grubby hands. He's like perfectly built to just grab onto the mountains. So like, I'm not worried about this guy. He's never gonna die. He'll be fine.
We watched this 3-minute recap video of it on YouTube rather than the entire fucking 2-hour Netflix live show where he might have died. And he kisses his wife at the end of it, and they apparently have kids now. And I was like, there's no way that this is the same woman who is the girlfriend in Free Solo. And with a little bit of Googling, that's she stuck with him.
Wow.
And this is what he's doing now.
We watched The Avengers.
Oh, yeah. The boy finally got what he was after, and we watched The Avengers since we had finished all of the movies that lead up to the first Avengers movie. We finally watched
Nice.
the big show itself. And it was better than I had given it credit for in
It's
my
a Joss Whedon movie.
mind. Yeah, it's a perfectly fine movie. And because they just get so much worse and dumber and more pointless after this. Like, if they could have somehow found a way to just be done after this one, like it would
That
have been
wouldn't
a
have
more
made them nearly as much money.
Yeah, I know. But like the Avengers, it was fine. It's also very bad. Like it's very
cheesy
it's
and
very
dumb.
cheesy and dumb. And there are parts of it that are just like, really? Like it's so, and Hawkeye is just the gayest. Like he's just, it's like, like, okay,
so
we've got Captain America. We've got Iron Man. We got this
Thor.
fucking billionaire. We've got this green rage monster, and then we've got the guy who's real good at shooting arrows and stuff. It's just so fucking lame.
And he's broody.
Yeah, and he's somewhat afflicted. Like he's not purely Florida afflicted guy coded, but he is very slightly afflicted guy coded because Jeremy Renner's just got that fucking face. And then afterwards, my son asks me, "Who's your favorite Avenger?" And I was like, I don't know.
None.
I was like, fucking Black Widow, I guess, for reasons. And I was like, no, but Iron Man, I guess.
Iron Man's fine.
And he's like, I like Hawkeye. Hawkeye's my favorite. I was like, oh, god damn it.
Like, why? What part?
And maybe it's that, like, maybe
it's because he
secretly
relates to him most.
Well, but maybe it's because he's
representation matters.
He's closest with Black Widow, also, right? Like,
you think that's
Hawkeye's
that's not why Calvin relates
got
to
the
him.
in with.
Calvin knows he has nothing in common with the rest of them at all,
Yeah.
especially Thor.
Yeah.
But he, like, best case, Calvin, if he's an Avenger, he's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Don't tell me representation doesn't matter.
Anything else? Was that it?
Just some Architectural Digest YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I do love Architectural Digest YouTube. Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Last night I was close. I was like, all that shoveling, I earned it. I deserve it.
Because we had drinks on Saturday and Sunday, and you had one on Monday.
I did not have 3 nights in a row. This is not true.
We didn't have drinks on Saturday?
I don't know. I didn't.
We had drinks on Saturday.
I did not drink 3 nights in a row. I drank 2 nights in a row.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because last night was Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. You drank Saturday
Lori's
and
always
Sunday.
judging me and like counts my drinks and cocktails and stuff. It's always, ooh, you're drinking more than usual. It's like, I am not.
Someone should keep track of it.
I keep track of it. I can assure you I know better than anyone how much drinking.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.